Good day and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV, Plus Sport. I'm Mudashiru Shitu and we'll bring you the trending stories across the globe. First, we look straight to the re-election of Gianni Infantino as the FIFA president for the third time. We'll also look at the fact that Morocco has joined bids for the 2030 World Cup. In between this, we'll be having a report on Nigerian power table tennis player as they depart for Italy for the 2024 Paralympics qualifier. Joining me to discuss this is a veteran sport journalist, Tunde Eludini, who's waiting to talk more on the latest updates in the election of FIFA President Infantino. Good day, Tunde.
Yeah, good day, Mr. Muda. Thanks for having me on your program once more.
Thank you. What's trending right now in the world of football is the re-election of Infantino as the FIFA president. What does his re-election for the third time since he took over from Sepp Blatter in 2016? What does it mean? What does this re-election mean for Infantino, or for Africa rather?
Unlike elections that you see, you have tension, seeking who is going to win. Before today, we already know that it was going to be a stroll in the park for Infantino, as there was no candidate challenging his re-election. So he was voted in via acclamation, and so it showed that within the football family, Infantino knows how to play his game, and at least he has the greater support of the members of the FIFA family. If you ask me what does this portend for Africa, I think Infantino largely has been able to give Africa a voice in FIFA, and one thing that he has done tremendously is how he has been able to make more funds available for the countries, particularly developing countries like Nigeria and the likes of it. I could remember when he came in 2016, the money accrued to Nigeria and other African countries from FIFA was a little above $200,000. Now we're talking in the region of 2 million. And so that is a lot. But even if you look at that, it's one thing to make money available to the federations, it's another thing for the federations to make proper use of that money. I think that's a discussion for another day. But when it comes to giving Africa some form of voice, giving Africa more opportunity, making money available for the development of the game, I think Infantino has done well in that regard, and that explains why he's coming in unopposed. You know how lucrative the FIFA presidency can be, and so if a man is allowed to contest unopposed, it shows that he has done a lot of things right. Of course, he can't be perfect, but I think he has done a lot of things right, and that is why he's coming in unchallenged at this time.
Now, interesting. Well, looking down and coming down home in Nigeria, Infantino re-election, he also promised that there will be a large numbers of countries that will participate in future World Cup. Does that really stand as what does that mean to you? Does that give Africa a more sense of belonging to have more nations at the World Cup later on in the future? Yeah,
like I said, Africa has benefited a lot and are still benefiting a lot from Infantino. If you look at the expansion of the World Cup, the Club World Cup, and even the World Cup itself, you know that there is no how these decisions will not trickle down to Africa. And right now we have 5 African teams that has slots to qualify for the World Cup. You can be sure that will be increased for the 2026 edition, where we'll be having 42 teams contesting. So it says a lot that the way he's not making it just an European affair. Because if for example, when we had 32 teams competing, we knew how difficult it was for African teams, even good African teams. Of course, we have more than 6, 7, 8 African nations that have the capability of representing us well at the World Cup. But because the slots were reduced then, it had a lot. Before Nigeria could actually make it to the World Cup, we had to wait until 1994. And it's not a function of the fact that we don't play good football. It's about the slots that were allocated to Africa. So if you have a man that is proposing these expansions that will also trickle down to Africa, I think it's something that the African FAs will be very happy about. And African football, in a way, is benefiting largely from all these innovations being brought in by Infantino, and of course, is supporting officials generally.
Yeah, now, something we need to talk about also before we go on this really interesting moment where Infantino spoke in that Congress. But we remember Issa Yatou spent so much of years on that affairs as a CAF president. Don't you think we'll probably be going the way of where is a seat on that seat for a long time and there's no sort of development when Issa Yatou was the CAF president? What does it being re-elected unopposed beyond him being the president? What does it mean in the real sense of democracy? I think that might be dangerous when it comes to check and balances of what is going on in FIFA.
Well, I understand your fears, but for me, whatever is constitutional is permissible. If the rule says you can contest for 2-3 terms, so there's nothing, he hasn't done anything out of the law, and there is no record, there's no strong evidence to say maybe someone else wanted to contest. You know, when it comes to football, it's not just like the usual democracy that that everybody wants to contest for the fun of contesting. And so when you have a candidate that seems generally acceptable to the member nations, it's going to be difficult for someone to come on board and unseat such person, particularly when the person is seen to be doing well. And so everybody tries to strategize and look at for the time, the appropriate time to come on board also. There will be a problem if Infantino starts fiddling with the status, start fiddling with the rules, and to perpetuate himself in office. But once whatever he's doing is within the law, I think it's something that can be allowed, and we should see how. Because if you look at football, most of these guys, they believe that it is necessary for continuity. Yes, continuity, because they feel that if you remove this every 2 years, every 4 years, you are just keeping leadership. It doesn't help the game, and so that is why you will see that in most cases, Blatter, for example, was in position from 1998 up until 2015 when he was removed. Yes, you can say that he was already having some corruption issues and the likes. And so FIFA has a way of checking its leaders. If Infantino too is seen as doing something that is contrary to FIFA laws, I'm sure there are people that will stand up and engineer his removal. So that's just how it is as far as football administration is concerned at the world level. Yes,
that's at the world level. So we hear what Infantino said during the Congress today. When we come back, there's still more question on his re-election.
The second story I want to tell you about this beautiful country is that it has a particular relation with me. When I was campaigning to become FIFA president, Rwanda hosted the CHAN, the African Nations Championship. And I came full of hope twice to Rwanda. First for the opening game, where I met many African associations. And then I came back for the final game. First time I came, I was full of energy and full of hope. And the second time I came, I was told, well, you know, we all love you, but actually we're not going to support you in the election. So, of course, I was pretty depressed, about to give up. I had already packed. And suddenly, and I don't even know, President, if you know that, suddenly somebody came to see me, and he gave me a ticket for the match of the final because I had no ticket for the final match. That, by the way, the DRC won. And he told me, this is a ticket offered to you by President Paul Kagame. And then I decided, I thought about it, and I remembered my visit to the memorial. And you should go all to visit the memorial, all of you. And I said who I am to give up. What this country has suffered, and how this country came back up is inspiring for the entire world, dear President. So I certainly couldn't give up because somebody was telling me something. I stayed, I attended the match, I continued to campaign. I was elected FIFA president a few months later. But most importantly, I witnessed how this country flourished. And this country flourished with nothing, starting from nothing, with hope, with compassion, with commitment, with hard work, and with leadership. And today it is a beautiful country, and I'm sure that everyone here will come back with their friends and their families to visit not only Kigali, but also the rural areas, the gorillas, and all the beauties that you can see here and in the neighboring countries.
Yes, that's Infantino at the Congress earlier today. And still we have Tunde Eludini still with us. And Tunde, one of the major highlights of his speech is the fact that he said by 2026 World Cup, the Men's World Cup, and the 2027 Men's World Cup, there'll be equal payment for both male and female. It's such a good news, but don't you think the possibility might not be so close? What does that mean to the football world? Do you think other federations should also take part in ensuring that the bonuses, both national teams, should also be equal and a very good fight for female football?
Well, for me, I always looked at this argument about equal pay is about what do you bring to the table. If, for example, the Men's World Cup brings in, let's say, $100 million and is shared among the countries, yeah, there's no how a tournament that brings maybe 20 million would expect to also get the same payment at the long run. So I think percentages can work. If you say all national teams will get X, Y, the same percentage of this and that, and I think that works. But it will be difficult that means you'll be using funds from elsewhere to fund a particular team, which I don't know the workability. But if FIFA says they want to pay the same amount, regardless of what they are making from this tournament, of course, it's a step in the right direction. The United States is already doing it as far as the equal pay is concerned. So, of course, we know that the women's game is growing, and so they deserve to be encouraged in every way that we can. And so, I think there can't be any opposition against equal pay. It's just about making sure that those funds are actually available to be disbursed to these national teams.
So you think, with your statement, you think the basis of sharing formula for both male and female football, the national team, should not be on equal right. It should rather be on which platform brings the best on percentage.
Yeah, what I'm saying, yes, it should be equal percentage. For example, if the Super Eagles would get 70% of whatever they earn at the World Cup will be shared among the players, I don't see why the Super Falcons should get less. They should also. So if, for example, FIFA is going to pay NFF $200 million for qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, whatever the NFF is sharing to the teams, it should also do the same for the women's team. And so, but I don't know how it's going to be possible if after getting $200 million from FIFA. And you now tell the men that, sorry, we have to take some of your money to pay the women so we can be at equal right and all that. It's going to be quite confusing. But like I said, if the funds are available, of course, it's a welcome development. We want the women to also earn as fantastic as the men are earning. And so it's 90 minutes of football they play also, mind you. So there's nothing that they are doing lesser, and that you will now make a case that they don't deserve to get as much as the male are getting. But it all depends on the funds. If the funds are available, of course, I support equal payment for these things.